Hello, in this video I'm going to cover over a very common support DPS set that is asked for in trials, and that is the Zen's Redress set that comes out of Lair of Marsalok Dungeon. Just to let you know, there is an event coming up in September, the Undaunted event, which is double drops for all dungeons. So I know Lair of Marsalok is kind of a pain in the ass to farm because it's long. If you don't have this dungeon farmed down, I would seriously suggest that you make this dungeon a priority so that you can get this set farmed out all the way, um, and make it so you can build this set for cheap. So let's get into this video. I'm going to talk about what procs this set, what doesn't proc this set, because that's a very easy thing to misunderstand. So I'd like to highlight and explain this and iron it out so people know how to run the set and how it works. Um, so let's just read the tooltip. I'm going to do a kind of a brief overview of this really quickly, so anybody who doesn't want to listen to me yap on for a long period of time, they can get the information and dip out if you want. But I am going to go over this quite extensively if you're here to learn everything you want to know about this set. I'm going to talk about quite a bit of it. So just to go over this in a broad stroke, how you proc this set is you light attack an enemy, and then you put a damage over time ability on them. Like so, like so, and like so, and like so. So that's 5 different damage over times on them, as you can see them ticking. This is going to maximize the Zen's set, as long as you keep all of these damage over times on them. Now, the important thing is to understand it has to be a damage over time that sticks on the enemy, like these do. So, for example, if you just lay your wall of elements down, the focus on that skill is not the enemy. The focus, if you go to the skill and you look at the target, it is an area. It's because it's an area of effect ability. If you look at this, the infestation from Warden, the focus is the enemy. It does damage over time on the enemy. So when you hit this, it's stuck on the enemy. If you have another, for example, here, I'll kill that guy here, and I will put it on just this guy. As you can see, he's the only one taking the damage, not everybody else, because it's not an area of effect ability. Now, there are area of effect abilities, such as the flame, like this, but they are ticking on them. As you can see, it's a cone, but it's the flame is the damage over time is on the enemy. This is a single target, so you have to hit this on a single target for it to work, because it is enemy focused. So that's very important to figure out. Some of these are easier to proc, but the main thing that you want to focus on is they actually have to have the touch of Zen on the enemy by light attacking. It's that green number there that you can see right underneath the word robust. It lasts for 20 seconds, so it's really easy to keep up on one enemy. But if you've got a pack of them like this here, then you have to light attack each one of these in order for them to get the touch of Zen. And then you can add your damage over times to them. And you can go around and proc each one of those on them like that. Now, why is this set so strong? Well, it's going to make the rest of your team do 5% more damage to that enemy per, or I should say 1% per damage over time ability, up to a maximum of 5. So on a boss, let's just pretend this guy here is a boss. You light attack one time, and you put 5 different damage over a time abilities on the enemy. Every time you light attack them, by the way, it resets the timer. There's no cooldown. So when you run this, now your entire team has 5% more damage. Now, why is that a big deal? Because it's a percentage and it's not a set amount of weapon damage. And that's important because a lot of these DPS now are hitting well over 100,000 damage. So if you're adding 5% more damage to them, that's huge. That's every type of damage that they are doing. It's not damage over time. It's not direct damage. It's not physical damage or shock damage. It's every type of damage that they are doing. It's going to increase it. And then on top of that, this is a unique debuff. So this is going to stack with other debuffs that are being applied to the enemy. So if you go into the help screen here in the tutorials and you want to scroll all the way down to combat, okay, there's status effects that will also help proc this set. There are 3 status effects that do damage over time: flame, poison, and bleed. Those are the main 3 that you want to focus on. If you proc a status effect from those types, they will also be stuck on the enemy and they do damage over time. And this effect right here is how often you can proc a status effect from each source. You can go ahead and screenshot that there if you want to, pause the video, whatever. But this is readily available in the game. All you have to do is go into the menu like I showed you. Now the other thing is named debuffs. Like I was saying, this Touch of Zen stacks with all of this other stuff because it's not minor vulnerability or anything like that. It's a unique buff called, or I should say debuff, called the Touch of Zen. And that's why it's got a unique square right there at the top there, the green, it looks like a hand coming out of the ground. It's a Touch of Zen. And so you have to have a damage over time ability that sticks on the enemy in order to proc that additional damage taken. And then it'll work up to 5%. So what are the best things to use for the Touch of Zen? Well, in my opinion, the top 2 skill lines are the Ardent Flame from Dragon Knight and the Animal Companions. Now, why is that? Ardent Flame has 2 very powerful dots that are tied to this that can also buff your group in a way. Engulfing Flames right here will also, on top of what you're doing, will increase your group's flame damage by 6%. So if you have any flame damage, which I know it's not as common as it used to be, but if they've got a flame glyph, or if they're running a backbar inferno staff, that's going to proc this. Some DPS might be using the scribed skill, the mage's Ulfsford contingency, where that's a flame with a lingering torment damage over time. This is going to buff that damage by another 6%. So if you take into effect Zen's plus this, that's 11 because it's the 6 plus 5 buff. The Venomous Claw, I would recommend running this so that you've got poison and burning status effect chances there. Then for the animal skill line, there's a couple of things in here that are going to work. The Cutting Dive, you want to make sure you pick the stamina version of this because the other morph does not have a damage over time ability on it. This applies a 10-second bleed to the target. It also knocks the enemy off balance, which will help your group keep off balance up so that they can run the Exploiter CP passive. Another very important thing to set on your DPS. Then this skill does a lot of things. It applies minor vulnerability to the boss, which is another 5% unique on top of the Zen Redress Touch of Zen debuff. So you're really providing a massive amount of damage increase to your group and you're handling debuffs very easily in something that you're going to do already, so that your tanks and your DPS and your healers can focus on other categories of things. So what else do I run besides those skills? Right now I'm working on leveling up entropy on this guy, but you could, like I said, you could make scribed skills are very, very good for proccing this. They are extremely potent because a lot of them hit in an AoE, and it makes it very simple to where you don't have to aim something. I would say probably the top, like if you wanted, for example, to make a spammable for, oh, let's say it's traveling knife, anything up here, and then you just want to make lingering torment, which turns it into a damage over time. So if you're missing a bleed damage over time, or a poison, or a flame, those are going to proc those status effects. They don't have flame here, obviously, but you could do frost damage if you wanted to, just to add that in. You could proc chilled, which is an instant damage status effect, but then you could also have off balance, or you could give yourself berserk. There's a lot of different things. Scribing is incredibly useful. Soul burst is another one. You could use flame and lingering torment, and that makes it so that this is a damage over time for anybody that hits the enemy. I know that it says area there, but the burning damage over time gets stuck on the enemy. It's not on the ground like Wall of Elements is. If you do Wall of Elements, it's just in this cone right here. So if enemies are standing here, they didn't get hit by it. However, if you put on, I should go back down by my dummies for this part so I can actually show this. Okay, so I'm gonna put I didn't actually make the skill. That's awesome. Anyway, you want to make this Pulseford contingency, or even the Soul Burst will probably work. I think I have that ready to go, so I'll just use that instead. Yeah, Fiery Burst. We'll just go with that for now. So for example, you can see here, Wall of Elements is on the ground. It's clearly an area of affectability. But if I do this, you can see they are burning. They physically have the fire dot on them. So that is going to proc the Zen Redress set, because it's a damage over time that is stuck on them. It's not just the area. They are getting stuck with this damage over time. Now, what you're going to want to have is the light attack on all these guys, so they have the touch of Zen, and then you can hit them with this, and then all of those guys take extra damage over time, or extra damage from your team. So that is the one thing that's kind of a pesky thing, but in ad pools it's not as optimal because it's more difficult to light attack stuff and then get a dot on them. But for boss fights, this is by far a very, very strong set to have in your group. I recommend pairing it with War Machine, so that when you fire off your ultimate, you're also giving your select DPS Major Slayer. And then I also like to run Spalder of Ruin, so that you give your group even more damage. So that's going to be it for this video. I know I probably rambled on a lot, but Um, I just like to cover this because it's not a set that gets covered very much in detail to figure out what sets proc this, because I feel like a lot of people may mistake this skill right here as a skill that procs the set, and it doesn't. Now, if you happen to proc burning from this, let's see if I can get it to proc burning on this guy. I think I have my options incorrect on here. There we go. There's burning. The very first one there. So if you happen to proc burning from this, there's burning again in the middle, then that will help the Zen Redress. But it has to be actually stuck on the enemy and not an area of effect. So keep that in mind when you're going to run this set. That's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you found this video informative, please check out my channel. Go onto my channel and go down into my created playlists and check out the subjects that I have made there. I've got all my videos separated out by subject: tanks, healers, DPS, PvP stuff, general knowledge, crafting, all kinds of different folders there. Please check that out and see if there's anything else that you might find interesting. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.